Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. In this video, I want to go over real live examples that have been shared with me by various people in the industry to critique the messages that they use to get new clients. And so as much as we love going over different sort of like examples, hypotheticals, it'd be good to kind of go over like real life examples and share with you like my honest thoughts about it. So we have a handful of different sort of emails that I want to go over and happy to kind of break it down with you and share with you my perspectives. So here's the first one. Subject: Recruitment Partnership Inquiry, Q1 2025. Dear Mr. Thompson, I'm writing to introduce myself as the Managing Director of Apex Talent Solutions, a full-service recruitment agency specializing in the procurement and placement of qualified professionals across multiple verticals within the technology sector. Our organization has developed a systematic methodology for candidate identification, screening, and presentation that aligns with the industry's best practices and compliance standards. We maintain a robust database of pre-vetted professionals across various disciplines, including but not limited to software engineering, product management, and data analytics. Should your organization have current or anticipated hiring requirements, we would welcome the opportunity to schedule a formal introductory call at your earliest convenience to discuss how our services may be of value to your talent acquisition objectives. Please advise on your availability for a 30-minute consultation at a time that is most suitable for your schedule. What do you guys think? First reaction, this is a great email if you're emailing a robot, an AI with zero feelings who just want to read something super boring, super uber professional, utilizing very business corporate dry lingo to read, okay? In other words, this is like way too professional, way too boring, way too dry. And just like the words that it used, this is no way to connect with another human being. Subject line: Recruitment Partnership Inquiry, Q1. I mean, that's super corporate. I would play with different wording, make it more colloquial, conversational, make it more personal, maybe even include their name if you want to. This sounds like something you get from like an investor or like a private equity or a banker. Boring. I'm writing to introduce myself as the Managing Director of Apex Talent, a full service recruitment agency specializing in the procurement and placement. So the first half of the sentence is not bad, but then the use of words like procurement, placement of qualified professionals across multiple verticals within technology sector is really bad. Like, you're trying to come off intellectual, you're using really big intellectual corporate words and phrases, but the real kind of weakness here is you're not kind of really showing how you specialize in specific roles that you're reaching out for, right? So you're just saying you specialize in the placement of qualified professionals. That can mean one of a million things across multiple verticals within technology sector. You're coming off as a very weak generalist in the technology sector. What would make it stronger is obviously, aside from just like super hardcore corporate words, is like showing them that you're specifically specialized in a certain type of roles, certain type of sector, certain type of companies, so that they feel like there's a reason you're reaching out to them. No mention of that. Our organization has developed a systematic methodology for candidate identification, screening, presentation. Again, I don't love the language that aligns with industry best practices and compliance standards. This is, again, if you were to pick another value prop differentiator, this is not strong at all. Why would companies pay you money because you have a methodology for candidate identification, screening, presentation? Anyone can do that. Even a high school, college kid can do that. So what makes you different with industry best practices, compliance standards? That could just mean literally nothing. There's nothing special about you than any other recruitment agency that is reaching out to the same client. We maintain a robust database. Okay, so this is your second differentiator of pre-vetted professionals across various disciplines, including but not limited to software engineering, product, and data. I think that's a little bit stronger, the fact that you have a database, but it's also a robust database. But just because you have a database of pre-vetted professionals across various disciplines doesn't show me as a prospective hiring manager like why that's actually good. Because you can have a database of amazing professionals, but every single one of them could just be a horrible fit for the roles at hand. And so like this, again, doesn't show any more personalization, understanding of what the client's looking for, a connection to the client's pain point. It's just very, very generic and very broad strokes. Should your organization have current or anticipated hiring needs, we would welcome the opportunity to schedule a formal introductory call at your earliest convenience to discuss how our service may be of value to your talent acquisition objectives. You could say the same thing and use 80% less words. And again, super wordy. You don't even know if they have current needs or anticipated. It kind of shows them that like, oh man, they just came up with some sort of like random research. Maybe they've done zero research. They somehow found my name and you're just reaching out to me. Like, it doesn't show like a really completeness of like, hey, you've done research, giving them the feeling you're reaching out to them and them only, aside from all the other companies out there, and showing them how you can really fit. Please advise on your availability for a 30-minute consultation. So consultations just sounds so corporate-y, so boring. That is most suitable. You're giving them the control. You're not taking the control yourself. Very weak call to action. I will give them points that they actually give them a call to action. But I hope that I made my point clear It's long, it's wordy, it's a lot of fluff with no real context and content that will actually show any prospective client like, wow, you are different, or you have like a unique edge and you can help their pain point, right? You even kind of hurt yourself more saying, I don't even know if you're hiring, or I don't even know if you might be hiring in the future. Then why the heck are you reaching out to me? So it's like, my goodness, like this has a decent structure, like introducing yourself, more about you, kind of trying to connect and a call to action, but every single thing absolutely needs to be much, much better. Real quick, if you ever thought about starting your own recruitment agency or you're a recruiter struggling to land clients, you'll want to check out our coaching and implementation program. Inside, I give you the exact scripts, the outreach templates, and acquisition systems I used to hit over $500,000 my first year, scale to over $100,000 months, and do over $5 million in placements on my own desk. Our students are already hitting $30,000, $50,000, even $80,000 per month or more. Many of them doing it part-time. So if you want to learn the same playbook, the link's below. It's exactly what I use. Now back to the video. All right, let's go to the second one. Subject, quick note, super short, no context, no additional information, very, very weak. Quick note about what? That could be like a one of a million things. Hey James, I just want to reach out and introduce myself. My name is David and I work in recruitment. I help companies with their hiring needs and have been doing this for quite some time. So again, a lot conversational, more personal. You make it very clear. I want to reach out and introduce myself. My name is David. I work in recruitment and I help companies with their hiring needs and have been doing this for quite some time. I work in recruitment, very weak. I help companies with their hiring needs and have been doing this for quite some time, very weak. Just because you've been doing it for quite some time doesn't mean you're actually good, doesn't mean you can actually provide James value, right? Where is your specialization? What is your track record? What role are you referencing? Like these are really, really important basic things. I work with a lot of different companies across various industries, and I think there could be some energies between you, what we do, and what you might be looking for at XXX, at the company, okay? So I work with a lot of different companies across various industries, and I think there could be potentially some synergies. So again, I think there's personalization here. You make it clear why you're mentioning this sentence, but I don't like the fact that like, it's like, I work with a lot of different companies across every industry out there. So you're coming off not as a specialist, you're coming off as like another generalist, but at least here you're like, hey, I work with companies that work with me. That gives you maybe a little bit more track record, a little more social proof. And I think there could be potential some synergies. I think that's weak language because the whole point of you reaching out to James is to show that you have absolutely perfect synergies. Okay. So like, again, this is weak. You're almost kind of shooting yourself in the foot. I've helped place some good people over the years. I helped place some good people over the years. That's like super weak indirect language, and have decent network of candidates across few different areas. Like again, just the fact you have decent network doesn't mean anything. I'm pretty flexible in terms of what roles I can help with depending on what your needs are. Super, super weak. I've helped place some people, again, that can mean anyone, a plumber, construction manager, a media engineer, a media director, a director of finance. Like who are you talking about over the years? So like what, you placed 3 people over 30 years, not that great, and have a decent network of candidates across a few different areas. That doesn't mean anything. So you're just leaving a lot of room for interpretation. Unfortunately, people can interpret it the wrong way. I'm pretty flexible in terms of what roles I can help with. It's just basically like, hey, I'm kind of okay at my job. I've done X amount of placements over the X amount of years. I think I can help you. Like if you were a prospective hiring manager and you got this email, would you respond? I definitely wouldn't. In terms of what roles I can help with depending on what your needs are. So I don't even know what your needs are. Like you should be reaching out to a client because you know exactly what their needs are and how you can help. You're almost shooting yourself in the foot here. Anyway, you should not start emails with anyway. Just that I reach out and see if maybe you'd be open to a conversation at some point. No rush at all. Whenever works for you. Feel free to reach out if you think it makes sense. If I was a prospective hiring manager, I would run for the hills as fast as I can. I just thought I'd reach out. Like what? You're just like wasting my time now? Like, and see if maybe you'd be open to a conversation? Heck no. No rush at all. So again, like you're not creating a sense of urgency. In fact, you're doing the exact opposite. Take as much time. Weeks, days, years. I don't care. Whenever works for you, you're giving them the control. Feel free to reach out if you think it makes sense. Like, oh, now you're like asking them, does it make sense? Your job is to reach out to a client that's clear, concise, connects their pain point, understands their needs, and then have a clear ask. Like, let's talk, let's meet for a coffee. Here's my very average email. I haven't really demonstrated any authority, success, track record. I want you to talk to me at whatever timeline that makes sense for you. Even if you get a response, it could be weeks from now, months from now, years from now. Not the best. No direction. Every single element here is very, very weak. The only plus side compared to the first email is the language is more conversational and it's more colloquial. Last example, subject, talent ecosystems and the future of workforce scalability. Very wordy, very corporate-y. What does it even mean, right? Like you're just reaching out to me for like a software or talk about talent ecosystems, or are you inviting me to do a TED Talk? Like, I have no idea. Hey, Nicole, in today's rapidly evolving human capital landscape, the intersection of organizational agility and workforce optimization has never been more mission critical for companies navigating the complexities of hypergrowth environments. That is, wow, very wordy. And some of the language it's using, unless like you're reaching out to like a scholar, someone who's, the highest levels of literacy or just award-winning in any way, like a tremendous domain expert in their knowledge, like this sort of language could end up hurting you more than it's helping you, right? So general rule of thumb is like you want to be able to use language that it's universal, that most people can understand. It's to the point, it's not too conversational, you're not forcing the reader to do extra work, but like, man, it's very, very complex words here. It's using a lot more larger corporate lingos and phrases and words. Could help you, maybe not. At Talent Bridge. So again, in the intro, you're kind of talking about the landscape, you're establishing that. The intersection of agility and optimization has never been more mission critical for companies navigating the complexities. I mean, it's super wordy of saying like, hey, I understand what you're kind of going through, but like, what's the ask? You're not even really introducing yourself. Like, what's the angle here? And then this person writes, at Talent Bridge, we leverage a proprietary competency mapping framework combined with behavioral analytics. So again, the intro is not the strongest. It's just like, hey, I understand like what you're kind of going through in a more general sense. It gets a little bit better here. Like, you leverage a proprietary competency mapping framework combined with behavioral analytics and multi-touchpoint candidate engagement to engineer holistic talent pipeline ecosystems that are specifically calibrated to your organization's unique cultural DNA and strategic headcount trajectory. Using really complex words here, I think the strongest thing is like what you have is proprietary and some sort of proprietary mapping framework that can help us with complex analytics to match perfectly with your, team's organization's cultural DNA. Like, that all sounds great, but at the end of the day, Nicole's just going to be thinking like, can you help me or not? And is your message and your ask easily understandable, or are you forcing me to do some sort of like mental, psychological like maze to figure out like, what are you actually sharing? What are you saying? What's your language? Our disruptive, doubling down on the proprietary and being disruptive. Our disruptive approach to talent acquisition, disruption, that's very repetitive, means we just don't fill roles. We architect human capital solutions that create synergistic alignment between your employer and brand velocity and the passive cans market's evolving expectations around total rewards optimization. I mean, just being honest with you guys, if I was a manager and I got this email, I would have stopped reading after the first or second paragraph. In the third paragraph, this person doubles down again about how they're disruptive and how they can provide value. But again, there's no proof. There's no track record. There's no social proof. There's no testimonials. It's just like, you're just talking a lot about this technology. Can this actually help me? So many people are always sharing on how their technology is amazing and AI, but 99.9% of them actually no different. They don't actually use disruptive technology. And most importantly, like, can it save me time? Can it save me money? I don't know, right? I'd love to connect and explore a potential collaboration around your talent infrastructure needs as it relates to your upcoming Q2 headcount scaling and beyond. Are you available for a discovery alignment session sometimes this week or next? My God. So like, they spent 90% of the email talking about how amazing their technology is. You try to personalize and make a connection on how like, we're in a rapidly evolving human capital landscape and optimization's intersection of agility has never been more mission critical. It's not very warm. It's not very personal. Not really showing Nicole like, hey, Nicole, I know you. I know what pain you're specifically going through, and this is how we can help. You then spend a lot of words talking about how your competency mapping framework is disruptive, how it can help, but it just says a lot of that using a lot of different words. Like, if I was Nicole, I would want to know like, hey, what's your pricing? Who have you helped? Like, are you faster? What sort of talent you have access to? Give me some sort of like taste or teaser. Nothing. I just have to go by like your own words, and you're using like a million words to say what should take you only like 5 words. And then your ask, a potential collaboration that can mean anything. Like, is it a recruitment engagement? Is it like a social media post? Is it like a LinkedIn post? Like, is it like some sort of blog post, some sort of interview? Like, a collaboration can mean anything. That's super weak. Around your talent infrastructure needs as it relates to your upcoming Q2 headcount scaling initiatives and beyond. Like, this is not very clear. Like, hey, I can help you find talent. It's like, maybe we can do some sort of like blog together or vlog together or whatever. Collaboration can mean a lot of different things. And lastly, call to action. Are you available for a discovery alignment session sometime this week or next? It's okay. It's better than the first two, but I don't like the timeline. I don't like the fact that you're giving them so much control. You should absolutely control this as much as you can and condense the timeline. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. There's 3 different types of outreach that we went over here. A lot of them have some of the ingredients that you need to write an impactful message, but a lot of them are lacking in so many different ways. And I think the biggest thing is be aware of the length, but also pay attention to like making sure you really give the person feeling that you research them, that you know exactly what they're going through, what their pain are, and make it clear how you can help with them. Time timeline-wise, cost-wise, speed-wise, value-wise, and try not to come off impressive behind words. Like jargon, lingo, corporate usage of phrases and wording could seem impressive to you, but it could easily blow back 10 times if the person that is receiving your email doesn't even understand what you're even saying, right? Or they have to pull up a freaking thesaurus or dictionary to translate, or they have to put your message into a chat GPT to be like, hey, translate this for me. Where if that happens, you're not going to get a response. So client acquisition, everything absolutely has to be perfect, from how you're messaging it, the tone, the subject line, the call to action, the personality of it, making sure you're personalizing correctly, establishing the context, and really also just sharing with them in not too wordy way, like who you are, how you can help their pain, right? Client acquisition is all a game about, hey, I know what pain you're going through, and as a Lego piece, I can help you perfectly, and let's talk about it. And if these things are misaligned, or you're trying to make it so convoluted or complicated, you're just not going to get the results that you want. So hope you enjoy this, and we'll see you on the next one.